Hey mages, welcome to today's MTG Arena video. Today I have got some top meta decks for you. We're going to have a new set very soon. Ixalan is coming, but we are currently going to have a look at what is really good at the moment. And maybe you could suggest in the comments of any cards spoiled from the new set that you think will be going into these decks at the moment. So these for me are the best meta decks going around at the moment. So before we take a look at the decks, if you want to get any of these cards in paper, I'm going to shout out my sponsors. They are Cardmarket. You can go and get all your card needs from that site, link down below to go and help us out there. But let's get on to today's first deck. So today's first deck is a Bant Beanstalk deck. Banty Beanstalk. A lot of you will know Up the Beanstalk. It was probably one of the best cards from the set, even though it was an uncommon. This enchantment enters the battlefield. Whenever you cast a spell with mana greater 5, you get to draw a card, and it's just a really, really good card. So you get to draw a card straight away, then any spells after that, the 5 or greater, you continue to draw a card. Now, this deck is a card drawing machine. It just works so well. I've given it a few spins, and I really do love it. Different cards in the deck. Now, first of all, we're going to look at the cards that will trigger this. So 5 or greater, what do we have? We've got Sunfall as just one of the best removals around at the moment, because it can make a win con, it can make a big incubate token, and it's a good way to sweep up all those little creature decks, hopefully, if you're still alive, and this will sweep them and then give you a bit of a beater as well. We've also got Teferi Temporal Pilgrim. This can draw a card, make a 2/2 spirit, gets loyalty counters when you draw that card as well, and you get a 1/1 counter on that creature. That spirit can just become really big, and yet another win con on its own if you can protect that 2/2 and start getting in the attacks. One of the best cards for Up the Beanstalk is definitely Leyline Binding. This becomes cheaper with the different types of basic lands you control. So we've got Raffines that obviously has Plains, Island, Swamps. Then we've got Mountain, Forest, Plains with Jetmirs and Sparas, so on and so on. Now, even though you might cast this for 1 mana, the Up the Beanstalk will still read this as 6 mana. So you'll get to play this, get a nice bit of removal in there, and then draw a card if the Beanstalk is on the field as well. So very, very good. Bit more removal, Farewell, just a one-of in there to deal with, everything that this does except for Planeswalkers. If only it said Planeswalkers as well. And then new into the deck is a Horned Lock Whale. A couple of these, we can play the Lagoon Breach. This is really good when you've got big creatures attacking you. Sometimes it's obviously not so good with an ETB like a Titanium or something like that, but Horned Lock Whale, a big 6/6 with Flash, War 2. When it enters the battlefield, it does come in tapped if it's not on your turn, but still at the end of opponent's turn, getting this in there is good. But if you have to play it in your turn because you need a blocker, that is what you do with the Horned Lock Whale. And what's good about it as well is that the whale is not legendary, so we've got 2 of them in there, and we can put both 2 on the field as well. The other separate win con for this is Hullbreaker Horror that can win a game all by itself, just casting spells whenever you can, returning opponents' creatures, whatever they want their spells and non-land permanents, and Hullbreaker Horror is very, very good. Now we do have, counter magic in this, like Make Disappear, we've got 4 of, we've got Essence Scatter, we've got a single Dissipate that when this deck is played, and a Syncopate as well, and also runs a single Negate as well. So it has plenty of protection for the Hullbreaker Horror or any of our creatures like Horned Lock Whale that we are using for the win con. This deck is all about value. You're using the Beanstalk. I mean, for 2 mana, it's just so good. 2 mana green spell that just draws you a card anyway is good, and then we can continue to draw cards. Now, a couple of these on the field, you will go through your deck, so you've got to be a little bit careful. Like, get a few of these on there, and you will eventually go through your deck. Not that I've done that yet, but I'm sure from practice it looks like you can. So, like I said, removal, Soul Partition. Good card, slows opponent down. We can exile something, and then it would cost 2 more to cast. And we got March as well of Otherworldly Light. And what I loved about this, it runs a single Broker's Charm, because this really doesn't seem a lot of play, but has been very, very helpful. Even given the target creature +1/+0, so a big Lock Whale can then kill a creature potentially, then pump it up for the attack, destroying enchantments, wedding invitations, stuff like that. That's really, really good. Or opposing Beanstalks as well, and we get to draw 2 cards if we want to choose that option. So another good card drawing engine for us there. Memory Deluge, talking of card draw engines, great. Play it for flashback as well. This deck has a bit of everything. Planeswalkers in Wandering Emperor, one of the best 4 mana Planeswalkers, creating blockers, first strikes, and flashing that in for removal when you exile. It's a very annoying card, and Yeah, I was looking forward to that one being rotated out, to be honest, but now we've got it for a bit longer. Land base, very, very rare, intensified, because you need that when you're playing ley line binding types of decks. So you need all the Rafts, the Jetmirs, the Sparas, and then you've got like the channels with Otawara, Basiju, Iganju. It really just is a plethora of like a mixture of all the good bank cards that you can put into one deck. Destruction as well for demolition, because Mirrex is a win con for certain decks as well, and we can fill the field with toxic mites and potentially get a win that way if we have to. Now all these decks as well do have a sideboard, so the deck list will have the full deck list in the description down below, so you can go and check them out. Really, you know, lots more removal in there, extra Hullbreaker Auras probably for the control matchups or anything like that, because you need more. Thrumbreaker can't be countered, good for control matchups as well, getting something on the field. A big indestructible potential 5/5 is massive. But I will leave that, you know, so you can see the sideboard if you want. I've been playing this in best of one and still been doing really well with it. So, you know, that's the way I like to play sometimes as well, if I've only got a short amount of time. But Beanstalk, definitely a very good meta deck and knocking up some very good results. And yeah, it's a very, very popular deck. The next deck we look at is Esper Raffine. This is a deck that I just really don't like playing against. It's just always been good. We all thought that, you know, certain cards would get like banned from this, but it never did when the last bans, where bans actually happened, did involve. But we did think something would be taken from this. But this has added a few new cards. So this brew here of what I found is what's been doing really well is adding going for more of a token type of feature on this. So obviously legendaries is what you want to be doing, Raffine. That is, you know, the way the old brews used to work. But this is added in 4 Virtue of Loyalty, so it can give you that 2/2 knight at instant speed. Beginning of your end step, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control, and you get that untap, which is you know, Pseudo Vigilance is really, really good, and just makes creatures, you know, pretty strong. And for 5 mana as well, it's not, you know, it's not too bad at all. Adding in Lord Skitter Suikin as well as a 2/of. This beginning of combat yourself will create a 1/1 rat as well. So with the Virtue of Loyalty, they can put counters on stuff as well. The rats can get really big, the knights can get big as well, and every other creature, you know, flying with a Raffine that's just going to get big, you know, with the attacking connive and everything like that, and then you're potentially putting 1/1 counters on. It really does have a really good side package here of tokens. Wandering Emperor can make the 2/2 samurais, and Wedding Announcement obviously makes the 1/1 human tokens as well. So by adding in virtual reality into the Esper Raffine deck, it really does take a 2 different angles, where you're attacking in the sky, then you've got your usual strong stuff like Sheoldred, Wandering Emperors, Urtai in there as a single of, and Denic as well, lifelink 2/3, that just makes, you know, certain decks just hard to play against, so they always have to remove this. And then it backs it up with counter magic, make disappear, and lots of removal. Go for the throat as a 4/of, cut down as a 2. So I don't generally play Raffine. As you can see from here, I'm missing just 1 Raffine from the deck, so I probably will do a craft that, although I'm very low on mythic rares. Like rares loads, mythic rares, you can see I've got 5. So it's going to be precious, especially with a new set coming out. I'd probably be saving the mythics, but I do want to give this deck a try as well, so I'll be interested. Let me know if you've been trying, or if you give this version a try, let me know how it does for you. So, you know, push me into potentially playing the Raffine deck. Let me know in the comments what you think about that, if you should, you know, be my next meta ranking up deck. So the land base, very simple again, all the different multicolored lands to make all the casting very easy. These decks are not budget at all. Interesting, it just runs 1 Plaza here. I've seen decks before running multiples of these, but this just runs the 1. So this was the card that just makes everything very awkward, because it can give a target legendary creature hexproof and indestructible. But I suppose the way this deck is built up, it's not, you know, it does obviously have its share of legendaries and Denic in there and stuff like that, but it does have that, you know, it's not so much needed, because you can really go wide with this deck with all the tokens, which is what I like. Yet again, another sideboard in there for those of you who want to play it best of 3. Still give this a go on best of 1. Has lots more removal in and more counter magic, and, you know, more removal, which is what it seems to be. Tribal removal is a very good deck at the moment in all different forms. There is definitely a lot of removal in the deck, but let's get on to the next deck. So coming back into the mix is Soldiers. I mean, it never really went away, but it's had a couple of new additions. Werefox Bodyguard is coming in, this Flash 2/2 Elf Fox Knight. So not even a soldier, but enter the battlefield, X up to one other target non-fox creature until it leaves the battlefield. So works pretty well in a deck to remove something, flash it in, and then get through with your other creatures as well. And you can also sacrifice it to gain 2 life. So it does have added features in there. So I was interested to see this in as a 2-of. And when you're playing lots of creatures, because this does run at 27, it seems decent to have some bunnycorns in there. So this runs a couple of rabbit bunnycorn as well. Power and toughness equal to the number of non-land permanents, and potentially we will be having a lot on the field as we build up our army. That is what this deck is all about. It has Knight Errant of Eos as well. Enter the battlefield, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal up to 2 creature cards. So yeah, Convoke on this is really good, and then reveal the cast, putting something in your hand as well. Just a very good creature if you can get this down early as well. For me, one of the best cards in the deck is Harbin, because this, whenever you attack with 5 or more soldiers, creatures you can all get +1 and flying, and that is just such a great evasion. So really good, this card. When you're adding in the soldiers, like a recruitment officer as well, Resolute will come in as a soldier and make a soldier as well, so the full 4 of it, so double soldier there. And then you have Sentinel that you can flash into play as well. It's just a really good, but this version definitely runs a few less soldiers than the normal builds I've seen as well. So adding in like Lunate Veteran for the life game, red, and stuff like that. Aggro decks are very prominent, and mono red is definitely firing all cylinders at the moment with some really good cards like Godric and everything like that. So you do need that little bit of life gain, because usually what you'll be doing is turn 1 play, they remove, turn 2 play, they're attacking, then remove yours and then attacking. That's the way when you're sort of facing against those decks. So having cards, we got 4 Make Disappear, just a single Protect the Negotiators as well. That can be kicked and obviously make another soldier token. So very good on theme with the deck. And when the announcement, to just give all our creatures a bump and add in some more human creature tokens as well. Land base, we've got 4 Fortified. Very beneficial towards soldiers. We can reveal a soldier card and give a pump to all the soldiers in the deck. But yeah, this is a different type of build that I've seen. It's been knocking up some really good results as well that I looked in recent tournaments as well. So I'm interested in playing. I did like soldiers before. I tend to veer towards mono white soldiers. I just like the consistency is that. But I'm not going to put you off a deck like this. It seems very good, very aggressive. And you get, adding in a couple of new cards like the Bodyguard and the Bunnycorn. We all like to play with new cards. So if you've got them and no decks for them at the moment, you could play UW Soldiers. Now, the sideboard, Lantern Flares, removal, gain a bit of life as well. So, need that life gain in there. Wandering Emperor is just a very strong card to come in. We have more counteraction, which is good, especially when you're playing Golgari and they're dropping those, dropping that big spells on you with like Golgari can. Bringing these in against that is just very good. And if we need some card draw, Tokosi as well can come in and trigger a bit of card draw for those longer matches where we just can't win on the aggro. But very good deck, blue-white soldiers. If you're going to give this one a try, let me know how it goes on by adding in the Bunnycorn and the Bodyguard in. And let me know if you think they're worth it. It's been getting the results, so they've obviously been doing well for some people. But yeah, let me know what you think. Second to last deck is a deck that I love to play, Domain Ramp. Everyone's boogie creature, which is Atraxa. No one likes Atraxa unless you play with it. The Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, Life, and just has everything on it, doesn't it, Atraxa? Big 7/7, does cost 3 green, white, a blue, and a black to play, but it's just super strong in it. You're ramping into this. You're playing, another deck that runs a couple of Up the Beanstalk because you've got all these spells 5 or greater, but you're ramping in with your Invasion of Zendikar, your Topiary Stomper. A lot of people play this deck because, you can get the ramp out quick. You've got really good removal in Sunfall that you can just keep the battlefield clear with this and potentially still leave you with a creature. You're playing Zayatoras, Jetmirs, Sparas, so Leyline Bunding? Leyline Bunding comes in as a 4-of, that's its new name now. So can, be played very early. And the new card, Virtue of Persistence. Great early removal. Turn 2, get rid of a minus 3/3, and you gain some life. And once you'll be killing everything. Now, I always think when, a lot of these decks play Virtual, you're taking cards from graveyards. It seems, counterintuitive when you're playing Leyline Bindings and Sunfalls because it just puts them into exile. But it still does a job. You've got, a single go for the throat in there. You've got Archangel of Wrath that can ping creatures and kill creatures that way. And, you can just be blocking creatures. And, with Topiary when that's ignited as as well, and with that. So it's still good as removal and still good as a wink on if you can't get there with your Atraxa coming in very early, or doing the big 7 mana herd migration. But this can obviously keep you in a game by finding that land, gaining 3 life as well. So don't be worried if you have to use that if you've not played this type of deck before. But the real end game is getting the Atraxa in, and then opponents just quitting when they see it, because if they haven't got the removal for it, it doesn't take much, one swing, and then they're so far behind, you're getting all those cards, and it's just a really, really powerful card. A couple of Myrics in there, making extra creatures, trying to get there. It's just such a good utility card, this, to go, you know, have another way of you know, putting something on the field and attacking, getting the toxics. You only got 10 with them, so with the ramp that we're getting, we should be able to, you know, at least trigger that once a turn if it's on the field, which is also good, because there's not a great deal of, you know, at all of instant play in here. When you look at it, you know, instant is 1, so we can be, you know, tapping out and making those sort of things for this sort of deck. But a very good deck, Domain Ramp, one that I personally really enjoy playing, to be honest. Sideboard, bit of counter magic. We've got 3 disdainful strokes in there. You've got negates, you've got hand disruption and duress that feeds into virtues and everything like that. And just like a little, you know, different parts of removal. Knockout blow, gaining life, 4 damage, good against the red decks. You've got destroy evils, anoint with affliction is very good. Just, you know, it's another exile, but if people are, you know, your opponents are using their graveyard, sometimes you have to be exiling, which is why Sunfill is in the deck, and it's just a really good card. And the extra bit of card draw, if you want to bring that other Beanstroke in, which I really do love that card, as I mentioned in the Bant one. But Domain Ramp, very good, consistent deck, and will definitely get you some wins. Last deck is the ever consistent. I had to put it in there because it's just so tight. You know, it's always in the meta at the moment, and it's just getting wins, which is a mono red. And this mono red version, slightly different because it plays 3 Urabrax 4. So this is looking for, you know, this is a bit more of an end game. It has the same package. There's not much more to say about mono red. It has the Commander, the Monasteries, Phoenix Chicks. This version plays Epicure, so it comes in, does a damage. It's good to, sometimes you want to be triggering Godric, so you need 2 non-land permanents. So the 1-drops like the Phoenixes, the Voldaras, the Monstrous Rage are very good to get this flying in the air and just use the evasion, and it's a big hit with Godric. You know, this is one of the most powerful cards that has been added to red without it. You know, your top end to have Godric is very, very good. Charming Scoundrel, I'm loving more and more, sometimes even just for the create the treasure token. You know, you play this, you have the treasure token, then you can obviously play a Monstrous Swift Spirit Command, anything, your Monstrous Rage. It just ramps you that little bit to get, you know, what red wants to do, which is more damage on the field. Lightning Strikes. Only runs 1 Feldon in this version, which I find very strange, but, you know, it's because it's just such a good card. But I suppose you have to make room for Urabrask and a few different cards that want to run the 4 Monstrous Rage. So Feldon, to me, is very good. I personally, although this has been getting results, so I'm not going to say change the deck, but I'd go 1 and 2 myself. I know Bloodthirsty is not legendary, so you can play the 2 of them, but I just love Feldon, and people hate blocking it, and it gets cards for red, so yeah, I absolutely love that one. Land-based, simple, Mountains, Sokazam, Mistress Foundry, just very good. Go to the sideboard. I've seen Witchstalker Frenzy in main board of quite a few decks of these as well. Twisted Reality, gain control of a big creature, give it haste, put a Wicked Roll token. Just really cool. And, you know, when red runs out of steam a bit, this is the kind of cards you bring in to get the final bit of damage done, take your opponent's massive big shoulders or anything really awkward. And it just runs, you know, a bit more removal as well. But mono red, very good, very consistent. And this version has been getting some, you know, good tournament results as well. So if you want to play something easy and grind up quick, mono red is for you. So there's 5 top meta decks for you to give a try. See which cards you got the most of. You know, you can definitely rank up with these. Get some practice in them. Tell me which one of the 5 you might give a try to. And any new cards, like I said, from the new sets that you think might feature into these decks, let me know in the comments below, because I've not really seen much of the new sets board. I tend to like, you know, but I will look up your cards and let you know what I think of them in the comments as well. Big shout out to my Patreons. Thank you very much for all your extra support, and everyone that likes the videos. If you're still here at the end, you're an absolute legend. I appreciate you sharing the videos. Commenting really does help. So I have to say that spiel because, you know, YouTube is a hard game, and you probably hear that off a lot of one, and it's annoying to say to you all, but we really do need, every one of us, including me, need your support. But thank you very much, everyone. You lot take care, and I'll see you on the next one.